Wallace Coulter grew up during the era of invention. 100 years after his birth and more than a decade after his death, he will always be one of the great inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs the world will never fully know. As CFO of Coulter Corporation and later trustee of his foundation, I pledge that Wallace Coulter's legacy will endure for future generations.
If in today's world, with all these smartphones and the iPads and everything else, if somebody said to you, a guy in Chicago has developed something that you pass a particle through a hole in a jewel in an electric field and it generates a pulse and we can tell how big it is, they'd probably say, what's the ball game score? It would probably just be insignificant. But you have to go back to those days to realize what we had, and we had nothing in comparison to it. And it was monumental in its time.
Wallace's inventions had a tremendous impact on healthcare and on the quality of life, really, for the world. And it was really that automated cell analysis, those first machines, that launched the idea of having this type of routine diagnostic information available.
Many patients are alive today and cured with their cancers and with their autoimmune and other diseases because of the foresight and the vision that Wallace Coulter had, not only for science, but to make the science count for patients as well.
You had to have grown up in the period where everything we did was manual to have a real appreciation for the impact that those instruments had on laboratories.
This was the invention which changed hematology analysis completely.
The invention of the Coulter counter, the Coulter principle, is so elegant. And so what appears, once you've explained it to somebody, they go, ah, well, that's obvious. But it wasn't obvious. It's a very elegant solution to a very important problem.
We can count and we can size any particle that you can get suspended into electrolyte, and simultaneously we pass a current from one electrode to another through an aperture. It's like a little cylinder. Now when this particle enters that sensing zone, there's an impedance, and a pulse comes on an oscilloscope. The height of the pulse is proportional to the volume of that particle. That's what opened up research around the world. You can only get 2 dimensions on a microscope. Coulter's electronic principle is cubic volume. We can count and we can size.
This is one of the very simple inventions that was really a great breakthrough, and the impact just cannot be measured. It's almost like inventing the wheel, something that you couldn't dream doing without.
He was inventive, but I think his greatest gifts were seeing how to make an invention practically useful.
Nowadays we talk about personalized medicine. It's really the buzzword. It's the right medicine for the right patient at the right time. Because of Wallace Coulter's vision, personalized medicine really started several decades ago. Because personalized medicine predicated upon the fingerprint of an individual patient's cancer was started because of his vision. I think the best way to think about it is it's a before and after Wallace Coulter, and the paradigm of treating and understanding disease was completely revolutionized as a result of his brilliance and his prescient forethought.
You know, and you imagine the kids that have been diagnosed with leukemia, lymphoma, all right, the anemias, yeah, megaloblastic or iron deficiency, thalassemias, aplastic anemias, all of these things, we're all going through a Coulter counter.
Not only in the biological end of the world, but what we call defined particle or industrial particles like pigment in paint for quality control, chocolate, moon dust that was counted on the Coulter counter.
So the Coulter counter was just the beginning. It established the principles that a lot of other technology grew from, and that includes the flow cytometry.
And the impact that that had is unbelievable, because I think that it was the beginning of the revolution in medical treatment.
I tend to think of Wally in a way as the Christopher Columbus of size analysis. He took us into uncharted waters and gave us a view of the new world.
He clearly gave patients and caregivers alike the gift of hope and ultimately the gift of life. And there is no greater gift than that.
Wallace's enduring legacy lives on in the people that he touched, taught, and inspired. All he ever wanted to do was to serve humanity, and he did.